What's up, everyone? Tyler here with No Cast Space. As we continue our team preview series in the build-up to this incredibly exciting, incredibly anticipated WNBA season, we have our print forms in on our NoCastSpaceWB.com. We're a little bit ahead on the website. I'll admit it, but I'm here. I'm locked in. I'm here. Today, as you can see by the title, I'm sure it's something along the lines of, what are the expectations for the Golden State Valkyries in year one? Amongst this series on the YouTube side, we're going to be looking at ceilings and floors, and I mean, no disrespect at all when I present my ceiling and floor for the Golden State Valkyries. But we're going to be pretty blunt here today, y'all. It's not very high. The expectations are not very high, and they shouldn't be. You don't want them to be. As I over the course of this offseason, if you haven't been able to tell, look, man, I see no shame in tanking. I see no shame in tanking. We're gonna get back to that graphic, but I want to talk about this first. There's no shame at all in tanking, especially knowing the talent that is on the way in these next couple WNBA drafts, because just one good season, just one average season can tank, not in a good way, your odds of getting a superstar caliber player. A superstar caliber player. That is what is on the line in these drafts. Whether you're looking at this coming year with Lauren Betts, AZ Fudd, Flau'jae Johnson, whether you're looking at the year after, obviously Juju's kind of a little bit more up in the air now due to the injury, but you still have Hannah Hidalgo, Madison Booker, Audi Crooks, like just off the top of my head. Then after that, we're talking, you know what I mean? Like, come on now. Like, there's so much talent, and you don't want to be bad forever. But I'd much rather be bad than be in the middle. So, call me Tank Commander Tyler this season, because that is what I am looking at, is who is going to tank the smartest. Because there's ways to tank well, and there's ways to tank wrong. And I think the Valkyries have found themselves in a position where they can tank pretty damn well. And it helps when you're starting with essentially a blank slate, right? Like you don't have any long-term vets, maybe like left over from when you were trying to contend or anything like that, Washington. And with that, you're able to kind of build in a very unique way. And so that's what I'm looking at with Golden State this season. I'll tell you right now, not that I don't care about the wins. I don't want to see any wins. And I know that's not what you want from your debut franchise. Obviously, there's been so much support locally for Golden State. I'm going to be honest. I don't care. I promise you, if you go and land AZ Fudd, if you go and land Juju Watkins, I promise you, it'll all be okay. But it starts now, especially in the WNBA in comparison to the NBA, where it's a 2-year in consideration for your draft pick. That matters. It matters now. And so let's dive into this. Ceiling lottery team, floor last place. Again, so sorry to you, Golden State, but this is where you want to be. So you need to figure out who's here for the long haul. That's the goal of this season. It's not wins. It shouldn't be wins. Even though obviously the players are going to go out there and try and win. The coaching staff is going to go out there and try and win. No one's going to tell you that they're losing on purpose, and they shouldn't. I am here to tell you that that's what you need to be rooting for. You need good losses. Close, lesson learning losses. That's what you're aiming for. But to look at the kind of 3 things here that I am interested in seeing, I want to start with the pace and space here. Natalie Nakaze is bringing in, that is what they wanted to bring into this Golden State franchise. Pace and space. And it's on the men's side, the more quote-unquote modern version of basketball that we've seen in kind of increments, I feel like, come over to the WNBA. Obviously, there's just been, in general, more three-point shooting and more flexibility from different positions, right? But I think this year, and it's not just Golden State, but when you look at the Sparks, when you look at Phoenix last year and going, assuming, doing similar things this year, even though we'll talk about their roster at a different time, but in Atlanta as well, Carlos Mesco, like you add those, you have 4 teams now out of 13 that are all kind of preaching pace and space, which is more of what we've grown accustomed to on the NBA side. And it's very interesting to now see that come over. And it's not right or wrong or anything inherently bad with that. It's just the reality of what we've seen or haven't seen over the years in the WNBA. And with that, the roster that they have built reflects that very, very simply. Either you can shoot threes or you can run. It's really what it feels like. And a decent mix of kind of size within that as well. In some like your forward positions, right? And I'm very interested in what that looks like. Again, as we kind of just we'll go right to left, I guess, here a little bit, because who are the franchise foundation, right? You have Kate Martin, who was probably the most exciting pick from the expansion draft that I think a lot of people didn't expect her to even be available, frankly, from Las Vegas. So that was one of the players that was immediately kind of stood out. I love Veronica Burton as a pickup for this team as well. I have their roster over here. I love that pickup as a potential player that can stick around long term for Golden State, even if it ends up being in an eventual backup role. I just absolutely adore that. And I think also you need to have good vets in a rebuild, in a tank, right? That is what is so incredibly important, is that you need to find the balance of good vets that can teach those lessons, that can help you build good habits, especially as a brand new franchise. I feel like that's amplified even more, right? And you go and get Monique Billings, you go and get a Kayla Thornton, right? Those are, if I was to pick vets that I wanted to establish the culture of my team, those are 2 fantastic choices that they went out and got in the expansion draft. And so I when you look at those type of vets that can join this team and can help these young players learn, and I'm incredibly moved by that. Like those are moves that if you told me in 5 years time, even if these 2 vets don't win anything on Golden State, like maybe if they're not here for the winning, right? I feel like it would not surprise me at all if there is a tangible line that we can draw from the impact they had into the winning that we see later on potentially for Golden State. Letitia Me here is another pick that I love that just never got the chance really in Atlanta. And now that she's been signed on, just give her a shot. That's what I love about this training camp as a whole. Tiffany Hayes as well, another vet I totally skipped on. Another incredible vet that you can go and get. Just again, in that similar kind of vein as the others that I mentioned. But I love this training camp because obviously the vets to a point have staying power, right? And that's something that we've seen in the WNBA over the years. But this feels like the most even playing ground of a training camp that we've ever had, right? And again, everyone's new. It's a brand new franchise across the board. And I love the idea that the best roster is going to win out here. And I think that's incredibly exciting. But I do think just in general from the course of the season, on top of the tanking, as I have here, Cheyenne Sellers was one of the more intriguing picks in the draft, right? And not because of who she is. Well, maybe it is because people had her high up in the first round. Easily could have been picked at number 5 by Golden State. And instead you get her in the second round. And when we talk about, in my eyes, what might make the difference, especially for these expansion franchises early, is how well you draft later in the board, second and third round, right? And we've seen certainly some second round, some third round picks, some undrafted players that are able to build careers in the WNBA. But it's obviously been tough in the past with roster cuts. And if you're a longtime WNBA fan, I don't need to educate you on that by any means. Cheyenne Sellers, if she can come in and it doesn't even necessarily have to be in year one, but that's just what I'm eyeing here. If she can come in and prove that she is the talent that was supposed to go higher in the first round, or at least in the first round, right? And I don't know if it's because of injuries. I have no insight as to why she dropped by any means. As a 6'2" guard in the WNBA, where we're seeing another kind of modernization, if you will, of basketball, where we're seeing bigger guards, Cheyenne Sellers feels like an incredibly versatile player to have on your roster, and one that I would want on my roster if she can get it figured out in the WNBA. So I am incredibly interested to see what role she gets to play in this year, in year one, how she can establish herself. What is she gaining from these vets? What are the minutes looking like? If I was to look at these rookies, obviously, you have your rookies at the top, your Paige, your Dominique Malonga, Washington's rookies. But like you look at Connecticut's class that they have and Cheyenne Sellers here, where we're going to see rookies playing heavy minutes year one, but not in the same way that we saw Caitlin or Angel last year, where they were really heavily relied upon, right? Or at least from an expectation perspective, there wasn't that, but you still have the investment into your development. And I think that is incredibly intriguing this WNBA season from these teams that, frankly, are going to be bad and have built up veteran rosters around that are going to aid just in general these rookies, but also not really get in the way of their development either. And it's a hard line to ride at times, but it's an important one. But with that being said, again, not to be blunt, not to be disrespectful by any means, but if I'm a Golden State fan, I'm rooting for good close losses. Look, man, I'm a Oklahoma City Thunder fan. If you're a fan on the NBA side, I'm not going to get into that. You know that no one has ever tanked better. So call me Tank Commander Tyler this season, and I will guide you to the promised land. I will guide you to that superstar player that you are clamoring for as a franchise, as a fan base. You want to be at the top of these next couple drafts. And I'm going to help you get there. You just got to listen. You just got to listen to me. But until then, make sure you guys are subscribed here on the YouTube. We're getting rolling. We're getting back in form for the WNBA season. Preseason games are getting rolling as well. I know we're incredibly excited. I hope you're excited as well to be tapped in with us for this entire season. There's no better place to get your women's basketball coverage than here at No Cap Space WBB on YouTube and our website, nocapspacewbb.com. There's a ton of print content going up. We're at Dawn Staley statue reveal, things of that nature as well. There's always stuff going down on No Cap Space. So make sure you're tapped in across the board, and I'll see you next time.